but it's like bad news fucking bears to have done this. And it's not written in a way of like, ew, creepy perv. What? Just because he's hot? Like, shut up. This is normal. And I was like, huh? What? Hello. Welcome to the Blackoween reading vlog. And maybe kind of gothtober. I can't remember. I wrote down the prompts that I got for gothtober, and I was like trying to put books with it, and I was trying to use books that I'm using for Blackoween to cross over, because y'all know I don't love a lot of obligation reading. But regardless, I have started. It is day one of this month-long readathon that is officially canceled, but lots of people probably are unofficially still doing it, myself included. And the first book up is The Good House by Tananarive Due. This one is about a woman named Angela whose grandmother had this house in Washington, and 70 years ago something happened with her grandma. Here it says, a terrifying entity that Angela's grandmother battled 7 decades ago. And then there's senseless calamities happening in the town, which is called Sacagawea. In the synopsis, it tells us that Angela's son has died in the good house 2 years ago. But yeah, read chapter 1, and it's explaining what happened 2 years ago with Angela's son. And my God, Jesus Christ, I have so many questions, and I'm sure I'm going to get answers here in chapter 2 as far as the aftermath and like what happened to certain people involved in the situation without spoiling. I guess I could be kind of spoilery in this. Yeah, I'm going to be spoilery in this reading vlog. So I will just say I'm curious what happened to piece of shit Tariq, because I don't like Tariq. I didn't like Tariq in the first place. He sounds terrible. And also, did the kid accidentally shoot himself? He was down in the cellar by himself to grab stuff and then ends up dead with a gunshot wound to the head. So I'm like, did he do it to himself? Or is maybe some of this related to spirits in the house? And yeah, I'm just very curious. How did the gun get here? Is my question. And if Tariq is responsible, was he charged with anything? Like, what happened there? I don't know. But yeah, that's what the book is going to be about, is Angela trying to unearth the truth about her son's death. And yeah, Tariq just sucks. This is my first time reading anything from Tananarive Due. So far, so good. Fingers crossed. Hello, don't mind whatever's happening here. I'm fresh out the shower and my hair is drying and it's annoying and it's all over the place. I am painting my nails. Only one coat done so far. But I wanted to update on The Good House because I am now, how far in? 190 pages. Are you guys coming to be in my vlog? No. Yeah, you are. Whoops, I shook it.
How far over?
I mean, it's kind of dark, so I can't really see you. Not until you cross the corner. Yeah, I can barely see you. It's like dark back there. Anyway, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Last night when I was reading, though, Eric was not home, and you're good. And I told him I had to stop reading for a second because shit was getting scary. And I was like, maybe this isn't a great nighttime book. Yeah, it's just like a slow build of the creepy eepies. Things are happening, and there was the one scene, so she got there to the good house. Kitty, shut up. It's near dinner time, and she starts just fussing and walking around, just hollering, rubbing up on everything and hollering some more. Anyway, Angie gets to Sacagawea, Washington, and she's with Naomi, her best friend / client. And like right off the bat, they learn about the guy who walked in front of the truck or whatever. The neighbor who had gone to her herb garden, and he went there regularly. And he's the father of the kid that was Angie's son's best friend that summer. His name is Sean, that kid. So Sean's dad is going to the herb garden, and then Sean keeps telling him, though, like, Dad, don't go. It's bad karma, this and that. And his dad's just like, what are you talking about? And then creepy stuff happens when he's there. Girl! Oh my God. And then, yeah, when Angie gets there, they're all like, oh, yeah, a week ago, a week after he had the creepy experience at the herb garden on her property, he just walks in front of a fucking logging truck in the middle of town. And people saw it. And the driver, the thing that creeped me out to no end, was the description that the driver gave of how this guy smiled and like grinned from ear to ear and looked directly at him as he like stepped out in front of his truck. And he's like, it's giving me nightmares of how he was grinning and smiling directly at me as he stepped out in front of my truck. And I was just like, so fucking creepy to me. Like, ugh, I don't like it. And then, yeah, they get there and immediately stuff is happening and the dog is being weird. So it's all this creepy stuff. And her friend is like, I'm telling you, like, sell this house and get the fuck out of here. She had to leave for work. And so she leaves and she's just like, girl, run. And then she goes to talk to the neighbor kid, Sean, and be like, sorry about your dad, but also I wanted to talk to you about the stuff I found of my sons and like what it means. And he's just like, we did something bad, oh my God, and like saying some kind of curse, and that they brought the ring that was her grandmother's ring, like we brought it back using this spell that we found, and we couldn't undo what we did. And she's just like, you're crazy, you need therapy. She doesn't tell him that, but in her head she's like, oh, he needs to see a therapist. But I'm like, girl, so much weird crap is happening. Why would you not think that this might be real? She keeps describing feeling this like cold burn on her fingertips and up her arm and like on her spine, like feeling like a cold like fingertip on her spine. And she felt that the day that her son died as well. So yeah, that's the update. I'm going to continue painting my nails, and we're getting sushi in a little bit, and that's the plan. Okay, just a quick little check-in on The Good House. I am now to page 230, and we are getting some like flashback scenes still, going back to the summer that her son died, like before he died. And it's like his POV. And we also have gotten a chapter of Tariq, the father, Angie's ex, of his POV in like the present day. He's not in Sacagawea anymore, but yeah, we're getting some stuff with him. And oh my God, following her son, he's like 15, and oh my God, just such a little snarky, just epitome of like a moody ass teenager who thinks that their parents, well, the parent who's parenting them anyway, thinks that like his mom is just the worst, and she's up his ass all the time. She's so uptight. She's always yelling at me. Meh, 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 meh. Like, just, oh my God, my nightmare. He's driving me nuts with this. Oh my God. But it is very fascinating seeing his POV, and still like creepy stuff cropping up here and there. Nothing crazy still yet, though. But that is all for now. I'm sure I will read a fair amount more later. Like I said, every time I pick it up, I'm reading several chapters for the most part when I have time, because I'm just getting like engrossed in it. Hello, it's a little bit later, and I have indeed read more of this. I'm now like 67% of the way through. I'm up to page like 322 or something. Excuse me. We are now in part, oh, I guess they don't have name or like numbers, but it's like a new part. Les mystères, mystères. I don't know how to say it in French. The mysteries, though. And this first chapter in this section is the notes of Marie Toussaint, and that is Angie's grandmother. So we got our first like peek at that, really. And very fascinating. We learned a little bit more about her. And the chapter before that was Miles, Angie's high school love that slept over in her hotel room, woke up, and then got a creepy ass call from Tariq. Tariq is fully possessed. I mean, I think any horror content warnings, right? The scene where his nephew is telling him, like, I'm pissed at you. I can't fucking believe what you did last night. And Tariq is like, what the hell are you talking about? And he apparently fully blacked out. He's clearly possessed. He was having like all the stomach issues and everything. And he keeps having random, like, horrifyingly violent thoughts. And then his nephew tells him, like, you offered me drugs last night and you were being sexually serviced by a fucking 13-year-old girl. And there's a little bit of a description of that. And he's just like, what? But then he has like, it comes back to him and he remembers doing it. And then it's like, I think it's the next day and he wakes up and it's like, he's fully possessed. And it's all clearly connected. I mean, it's all clearly connected because it's people who've been in the house a fair amount. The chapter or 2 chapters before that was the mayor of Sacagawea who got possessed and like complained of a stomach ache, and then the next morning fucking killed his kid and was like being crazy. And Angie smelled the rotting like flesh smell, the rotting like death flesh whatever smell on him too. So it's all very creepy. I'm just so curious what like the conclusion to all of this is going to be. I'm here for it. It's a good time so far. I'm a bit of a sleepy bitch, and I feel like you can tell. I took a little cat nap, and then my mascara went all over, and I tried to, like, clean it out a little bit, but I think it's just smudged everywhere. And I look tired, but wanted to do a little update, a kind of sleepy update, I guess. I'm not done with this yet, but I'm up to 458. And it's like 600 pages long, I think. Just under or just exactly. Yeah, it's like 597 or something like that. So, I'm towards the end. But there's still a decent chunk to go. I said earlier that I thought I was probably going to read the rest of it today. But I don't know if I will. But just so many things are happening, for sure. Tariq has now killed Naomi. And Tariq's gone. Yeah, I think I did say that. He's no longer with us. Not really. The spirit, which is called the Baka, I think that's how you would say it. It still like remembers like his music taste. It remembers the music he likes and stuff like that. But it's not him at all. And yeah, he's killed Naomi. And it's so funny reading stuff like this because I'm trying to, it's hard to like not get frustrated with characters like Miles. I am frustrated with Miles because he just thinks Angie's like damaged mentally and like losing her mind. And he thinks that there is like some kind of mass hysteria going on with the townspeople because these different events and murders are just have too many similarities and whatever. But he doesn't think there's anything like spiritual or supernatural going on. He thinks it's just like psychosis, like brought on by something. Angie's just like not, and he's like seen it. He's witnessed. They went and talked to Art. He predicted what was happening with Naomi, but he didn't predict it. He said like, I saw it. I was there. And he's saying like, I'm possessed basically. And he's like, I'm not myself right now. And all this evidence piling up in front of his eyes. And Miles is still like, he's like, his thought process is that Art and Tariq, for some reason, band together to kill Art's child and kill Angie's friend and steal her dog. And he's just like, oh, they must have just got together. They met each other at a bar and started talking probably. And like, oh, I hate being a parent. Let's like, it's just like, that doesn't make sense, bro. Nothing you're saying makes any logical sense. from like a crime perspective and figuring this out. But then I'm like, Deshauna, I don't believe necessarily in spiritual paranormal type of stuff, okay? I'm someone who is like, I don't know, could there be unexplained things? Sure. Have I heard stories from people that I believe to be credible and people who are pretty like level-headed in general in life, but have stories of, you know, hauntings, even like benevolent hauntings, you know? Could there be some truth to some of this stuff? I mean, like, I don't fucking know. Maybe. I don't really like believe though. So anyways, I'm frustrated with Miles, but then I'm like trying to put myself in the shoes of Miles, of like me, who I am in our world, in this reality I currently live in. If someone was telling me that they believed all this stuff and these things were happening, I think if someone just told me they believed this, like Angie just being like, I think people are possessed, I'd be like, sure. There might be another explanation here though. But like seeing it and everything, I think it would, at this point, at the point in the book that Miles is, I think I would no longer be like, they must have met somewhere randomly and I don't know how the dog works into all this, but they figured it out. Like, what? That makes way less sense than some of the townspeople seem to be possessed by something. You know? I just feel like at a certain point, I imagine I would, and maybe because I am the type of person who doesn't totally discredit it fully. I don't really believe, but yeah, I don't know. Could I be persuaded? Maybe, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm someone that with enough evidence right in front of me and witnessing things live, I could be convinced to be like, all right, yeah, like I can't really explain it. And this is fucking crazy, but like something weird is going on here that is not just like humans being shitty humans. And that's what Miles thinks. He's just like, oh, but people are crazy sometimes. I'm like, people are crazy, but like your story you have in your head has no logic behind it. So it's just, I don't know. He doesn't make any sense. I don't read a shit ton of horror, as I have said. And I guess I kind of forgot, and I don't watch like horror movies and stuff. I kind of forgot. I've known that this is a thing in horror, just hearing people talk about it. The like sexual content in horror sometimes, in adult horror particularly. And this isn't like erotic horror or anything. It's just horror, but there are those like kind of weird, taboo, dangerous, in one case, outright pedophile situation. And there was the scene where Miles and Angie have slept together and consensually, whatever. And like Miles is a very, like, we like Miles. We like Angie and Miles together. Like, he's written in a way of like, he's a good man. He's a good guy. He's a cool dude. Like, we dig him. He's likable. And they sleep together. And then in the morning he wakes up and like is horny for her again. And she's asleep and he has sex with her. And it's written in a way of like, as if it's like this sweet thing. He just doesn't want to wake her up. And it's not written in a way of like, ew, creepy perv. Like where the author is trying to like clearly putting, it's written in just like, this is normal. And I was like, huh? What? But then also the thing with Art and his wife, where it's just a throwaway mention of his like bedroom kink of pretending to be her uncle and sometimes getting pedophilic with it. Like he's a molester uncle and that's his like fantasy in the bedroom. But it was just like a random throwaway comment about their sex life that I was like, the fuck? I don't need to know this about them. Like, you know? And like the sex, like, oh, I didn't need this like it's like uncomfortable, right? It's creating and it's adding to the like the aura, the atmosphere of like being uncomfortable and being unsettled and just being like, wait, huh? I don't feel right about this. Like the vibes are off with this stuff. And I know that is like a thing that horror does, that adult horror will do quite often. And I think I wasn't quite ready for it. And then there's stuff with like Corey, the son, and his like erections and morning wood and blue balls and this and that. Anyway, we're learning more and Angie's figuring things out, figuring out what she needs to do and all of this. I don't know. I might be able to finish it today, but I might not. We shall see. Hello. So, last night I did indeed finish The Good House. I'm trying to like suss out my overall feelings. I do feel, I really enjoyed it. And anytime I would pick it up, pretty much every time I would pick it up, I was reading through several chapters at a time. And I was engaged in the story. I will say, kind of around like the 3/4 mark, like around 75% in-ish. I feel like the pacing, there's something up with the pacing for me. And the ending, I don't know how I feel about the ending. It's not like an automatic, oh my God, amazing. But I didn't dislike it. I interpreted it as, I guess the miracle that she asked for was to go back in time, maybe? It just is like a little ambiguous, I guess, which was intentional, but I just don't know how it landed with me. And it didn't end up being as scary as it initially felt like it was gonna be. So that was nice for me, because I was fully expecting to be like, oh God, I can't even read it. But yeah, I don't know, like I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. I feel like it's in the, I don't know if it's in the really liked range or the loved range. It's like somewhere in there, and I'll suss it out more. This cat is being crazy right now. And of course, now she's not there. She goes, what are you doing? Oh, you crazy? Try to put this back in the same spot. I look sickly, I feel. No mascara on. It looks like I have no eyelashes. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to read more Tanana Reeve do. But it wasn't like, oh my God, loved it, obsessed, like 5 stars or anything like that. Next is going to be When the Reckoning Comes by LaTanya McQueen. I've heard kind of mixed things about this, but apparently it's like real crazy. So there's that. Someone described it as like a fever dream. So I'm curious how I'm gonna fare with this one. It's much shorter. And a little note, I am also rereading Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark. I read this when it first came out in 2020, half a decade ago now, which is buck wild. But I mentioned previously that Gothtober is also going on, and that I had gotten my prompts for Gothtober. There's like a little game you do, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to like do it. I kind of am, but I don't know what the rules are, I guess, for Gothtober. I think you have to fit all the prompts, I'm pretty sure. But the theme this year for Gothtober is Gothic architecture and buildings. The prompts that I received when I did the game: book with a multi-POV, book with a face on the cover, a metal item that is not a weapon. And I think I wrote this kind of like just notes. I think it means on the cover, I'm pretty sure. And then an unsettling character, red, orange, or yellow cover, LGBT rep, disability rep, BIPOC author, and then sentient house or object. So The Good House definitely fits book with multi-POV, unsettling character, and BIPOC author. All the books I'm reading fit that. But, and then I'm like, there's no LGBT rep in here. There's like mention of people being gay, but there's not like any characters. And then there's not disability. There's like a guy that has a cane, but he's like, again, is like a randomly mentioned person. I'm trying to think if there's even like chronic illness or anything. There's not. And then it kind of counts for sentient house, I get, but like not really, because it wasn't the house. It wasn't sentient. The house wasn't sentient. So I didn't count it for that. So those are the 3 though that I don't have anything for, because then Darker Shade of Midnight, or Darker Shades of Midnight, or whatever that one is called that I'm reading for Blackoween, that fits with face on the cover. The one copy I have, or that I got, does. And then also a metal item that is not a weapon on the cover. And that's a different cover, I think, though. There's different covers for that book. And I don't know if that's cheating, but whatever. But I don't know, that one might have disability rep, or it might have LGBT rep. I'm not sure. And then When the Reckoning Comes might as well, might have LGBT rep might have disability rep, might have a sentient house or object, I'm not sure. This one I don't have for any of the prompts for Gothtober, but it could probably fit for unsettling character also. And then I have for the red, orange, or yellow cover, reformatory, which I have the physical copy, but it's over there and I don't want to grab it. So I might end up doing Gothtober technically also, but I just don't know if I have to fit all, if I have to fill all the prompts or complete all the prompts, or if it's only like some. Anyway, whatever. I'm just reading Ring Shout like because it's horror and Roger wants to read it for the first time this October. And I was like, hey, I need to reread it. So we are buddy reading Ring Shout. But yeah, I'm going to start When the Reckoning Comes today. That's the plan. I'll talk to you later. Okay, I just barely started When the Reckoning Comes. I'm like 15 pages in. But it just reminded me because, oh my God, this squeak ass chair. There seems to be a second chance romance situation in here. This is not a romance book, obviously, but other genres can have romances in them. Duh. But it reminded me that The Good House also had a second chance romance. And why are second chance romances haunting me this year? Just, they're following me the fuck around. All these different books I've read have had it. Like, it must be very popular. People must love it. It must be a favored trope. I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it. So I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I was kind of annoyed with that not annoyed with it in The Good House. It's just one of those tropes that when it pops up, I'm like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. We're doing this, I guess. Hello. It is the same day. I have gotten a little bit further into this, not tons further, but I'm up to page 75, chapter 6, and I'm into it. I'm curious what more is going to happen. Thus far, we have met our main character, of course, and her name's, God, now I forgot, Myra, right? Yes. And her childhood best friends, Celine and Jessie. And Jessie and Myra went to the like old plantation house in the town. At the time when they were kids, it was like out in the woods. I'm a little confused, I guess. Confused, but I'm just like, I don't get it. So they went there late at night and they're acting like something crazy happened that night, or they did something that night and they can't talk about it. And I'm like, you just saw a guy in a window. I don't know. So that's the only thing that has like stuck in my craw a little bit. It's very interesting, the conversation that is happening around just like whitewashing history. And it's a little like, oh God, the current climate in our country. I mean, it's like an always climate. It's not like a new thing to be whitewashing history, obviously, in globally, but definitely in the United States of America. That's been like an ongoing theme for the duration of our countries. Hiding things that really happened or glossing over things. But that's like a big conversation that's happening here because this plantation has been turned into like a tourist trap, essentially. Our main character, Myra, feels really weird about being there. She feels really weird about what is going on because they have, local black people working at this plantation in a touristy way, pretending like they're slaves from back in the day, like pretending like we're taking a step back in time in our history and like we're really there while this is all happening. And so they're like dressed up and like working the plantation as if they are slaves that were there. And obviously anyone who is paying attention would feel uncomfy. I don't know if you could hear that. This cat is going crazy in her little tunnels and like flinging her body at the wall. What the fuck? Oh my God, she's like full of piss and vinegar. Anyway, and so yeah, very understandably, Myra is uncomfortable. Just curious to see where we're going because yeah, we just got there. She just got to the revamped plantation. She hasn't even seen Celine yet. She talked to her on the phone, but she hasn't seen her yet. So we're like just barely getting into the story, I think. So I'm curious where things are going to go. Hello. Okay. So I finished When the Reckoning Comes. And It was a quick read. Oh, hello, kitty. It was a quick read, for sure. It didn't really feel horror-y enough for me. Towards the end, things ramped up for sure, but it wasn't until like literally 70% in, maybe 75% in, that the more scary, but it wasn't even scary. Like when I don't know, I guess I was wanting more like, ooh, I'm kind of like scared, like creepy. The things that were happening were horrifying. Don't get it twisted. Like, very content warnings. Check the content warnings. If you cannot read about just human torture, certainly if you cannot read about slave torture, and I'm not just talking, not to say just, Jesus, but like the things that we know, things like whippings and lynchings and things like this happened. Those are horrifying in their own right, for sure. I'm talking like level 20 out of 10 human torture, just horrifying shit. And then also rape, for sure, which is another thing that we know happened. And just, dehumanization of people to such a disgusting, horrifying, and extreme degree. All right. There's a fair amount of that, particularly in the last part of the book. There's hints of it before then, for sure. But yeah, the last half, or not the last half, the last like section of the book, like the last like 10%, honestly. That's the thing. The pacing in this, I don't love the pacing, okay? It took forever to get going, I feel. It was a quick read, but it was just like we're ramping up and blah, blah, blah. And then just all of a sudden everything's happening in the last like little bit. I had so many things I tabbed that just like irked me, or that I'm like, really? This is it's stupid stuff. Like my very specific Jashana gripes that I get. The first thing, maybe not the first thing, but the first thing that really like bothered me to the point of messaging my friends and being like, guys, am I crazy here? Was the fucking wedding. She gets there and it's the rehearsal dinner. And she has not spoken to her friend in 10 years, okay? They're not friends anymore. They were childhood friends, but they're not friends anymore. She's invited to the rehearsal dinner, which right there I was like, why would she go to the rehearsal dinner? And then it says it takes her an hour to straighten her hair because it became curly again. Mind you, she's a black woman with black women's hair. And I guess, I don't know, straightening my hair doesn't take very long. I have very thin, fine white girl hair that's practically straight on its own. So like when I straighten my hair, yeah, it doesn't take me that long. Once my hair is dry, 10 minutes, if that, to straighten my hair. Even white women I know who have just thicker hair than mine or more hair than mine, like it takes longer than that. Certainly if you have textured hair, it takes quite a while. She straightens her hair, does her makeup, paints her nails, and gets dressed all in an hour. Painting your nails alone is going to take longer than that. Even if you just do one coat, you have to sit there and wait for the shit to dry. You can't do anything else. You can't be doing your fucking hair. You can't be putting your outfit on when you're waiting for your nail polish to dry. Even just with one coat. Even when you have quick dry polish, I'm telling it's not going to dry fully that quickly. You're going to get it all smudged up if you do anything before it's fully dry. Much less if you have more than one fucking coat. So saying she did all this shit in an hour, I was like, sure, okay. But then the rehearsal dinner, all of the wedding guests are there, and it's like the wedding. She's dressed up in a cocktail dress, and she says, like, I'll never wear this again. She spent way too much money on it, and she'll never wear it again. You bought a brand new cocktail dress for the rehearsal? Why would you even be invited to it anyway? Rehearsal dinners, traditionally, is the wedding party, maybe parents of the members of the wedding party, the parents of the people getting married, for sure, and, like, maybe some immediate family that aren't involved in the wedding. Like, that's it. That's the rehearsal. And the dinner, and it's, like, a lot of times people dress, like, kind of more casual, maybe, like, dressed up, but not, like, wedding attire. And all these people are, and it's like decked out. It's like as if it's the wedding, and they have like the charger plates and the tablecloths and the dance floor, and the wedding party tables are over here, and the rest of the guests are over here. And I'm like, this is the wedding. What are we talking? But it wasn't. It was the rehearsal dinner. And I was just like, this is making me crazy. Why would all of the wedding guests be at the rehearsal dinner? Like, that isn't a thing, I don't think. Even with, like, rich people weddings, I don't believe that that is a thing. Even if you invited more of your wedding guests, you wouldn't have it decked out like that, and you wouldn't have the expectation of everyone wearing tuxedos and cocktail dresses to the rehearsal dinner. That would not be the dress code. It would be, like, casual or semi-formal, like, not formal. Anyway, so that irritated me, and I was just like, huh? What? And I felt like, too, this is another case of, you know, I feel like we all come across books sometimes that, like, have a message and a theme, and, like, they're talking about something that we feel is important, and we agree with the message of the book, and we like the conversation that is happening, but it ends up feeling way too heavy-handed, on the nose, like the author is holding your hand and leading you along and being like, see, this is why this is bad, or whatever. And there was a fair amount of that in this as well. Oh, and then this was just kind of weird too, talking about a slave girl that they are suspecting the plantation owner bought, like this young girl, for his wife to kind of have as, like, literally ends up being like a pet, like she treats her like a pet. But they find records showing that the plantation owner's wife, like, had a bunch of babies that died. And then it's like, oh, she'd been trying to have children for years, and they all died. And then they say it was probably why he bought Lucy, the slave girl, to get his wife to finally let go of the possibility. And I was like, would buying her a person that she doesn't even see as a person and literally sees as, like, subhuman, would that make her happy when she wants children? I don't think so. Maybe as, like, a distraction, but wording it that way just felt weird, where I'm like, I doubt he would have been like, here's a baby for you to care for and love and fill that hole that you have, because she wouldn't have treated her like that, and she didn't. So, like, what? That doesn't make sense. Oh, yeah, and then they're talking about all these deaths happening on the plantation land, and it's like, oh, there's a lot of acres, I get it, but, like, the woods, like, all these random deaths that are happening, and that happened to people who were, like, descendants of people who worked at the plantation back in the day, and just all these random deaths happening on the land. And it says, he's like, I've mapped it out. There's a pattern of people dying on this land. You know about the construction workers, Mr. Loomis, but there's Alden, so many others, a whole history of families with unexplainable deaths, freak accidents, family members being committed and turning to suicide. I've made lists and marked each one, but the thing is, and I didn't realize this until recently, they all tie up to the plantation, every single one. And I was like, no duh, they're all on the land of the plantation? Like, why do we need, like, to map it out to figure this out? Like, you just know, oh, this is another death that happened on this land, this plantation land. Like, it seems like he knew that, and he's like, oh, these deaths happening on this land. What's the connection? Oh, the plantation. I'm like, no shit. And I felt, too, just, like, a lot of the dialogue between Jesse and Mira. First of all, the, like, romance that was trying to be conveyed, I didn't buy it. I didn't see anything there. He was kind of a dick to her always, and, like, rude and mean to her. Just, I didn't see any chemistry between them, so I don't think the romance part of it needed to be there at all. I think it could have just been platonic friends. But a lot of their dialogue just felt like, awkward, and not how real people would speak to each other. Very expositional, like, it's just them giving exposition about things. So yeah, I don't know. This one just, it didn't hit. I just feel like a lot of the pacing and the dialogue and just some of the plot stuff that just, some stuff just didn't make sense. Just, like, almost plot holes, I guess. It was okay. I didn't, like, hate it, you know? It wasn't like, oh my god, this is a miserable time. There's that. Bummer. Next, I'm gonna pick up the paranormal, like, romancy kind of one with the psychic medium, Shades of Midnight or whatever it's called. Dark Shades of Midnight. I don't know. That one. That's what I'm gonna pick up next. I have that on ebook. Hello. I finished Ring Shout. It is the same day. I showered, laid out to get a little sun, not for very long, but, and then I had started this, yesterday, the day before? and yeah, read like a half of it today. It's a novella, and it was a reread for me. And this, I can technically fit for Gothtober in the LGBT rep. It's very minor though, so maybe it doesn't count, but for now I'm gonna count it. Ooh, it does also count for, well, okay, maybe not. God dang it. I was gonna say it could count for sentient object, but I guess the object itself isn't sentient. But like, it's magical. Doesn't count. Yeah, I really enjoyed this reread. Still 5 stars. It's one of the only novellas I've ever read that feels I would love a longer book of this, like even more in depth with these characters and following them for longer. I would eat that up for sure, but it stands well on its own for me. I felt like I really knew the characters, and it's just such a cool concept. It's one of these things. I was buddy reading with Roger. We were talking about it, and I'm like, it is like on the nose, right? Like I was complaining about the other book and other books I've read where it's like the messaging is like, okay, I get it. But this, like, it's so very intentional and so very obvious. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people think that if you're not a fucking racist, bigoted ass hat, you know, you see in our modern age, you look at someone who's in the fucking KKK and you're like, you're a fucking monster. And P. Djeli Clark was just like, well, let's make it literal, though. And he even, like, subverts it, though, or just he makes it more interesting than that might sound. I mean, I think that's still interesting, because then we're following these Ku Klux hunters, these women, these black women, and one of them has a magical fucking sword that calls on her ancestors and other people's ancestors, just calls on people who've been killed via hate. And it's so fucking cool, man. It's so cinematic. It's also set up where, like, there could be other books, and I'm like, I would love a Ring Shout novella series. But it's been 5 years. I don't know if anyone knows if that's something P. Djeli Clark has ever talked about. But he set it up, so he totally could. And I think he should. Anyway, still 5 out of 5. Love it. Hello. It is the next day. Ghost is about to knock over my little tripod. Ma'am. Her tail. Excuse you. What are you doing? No, she wants to get up in the window, but I don't have the blinds open right now. I'm a sleepy bitch. Ghost and I just took a nap together. It was very cute. Don't. Ma'am. Hey. She uses her little nose and taps the buttons on my air purifier. And leave Lily alone. She's using the restroom. Oh my God. Leave everything alone. She woke up from her nap full of piss and vinegar. No. Girl! She's fucking with everything. Can you stop it, please? Can you cease and desist? You see yourself? No. Lily is still using the restroom. You're trying to interrupt her, and it's very rude. She needs her privacy. Okay. Anyway, Jesus Christ. I started Darker Shade of Midnight by Lynn Emery. This cat, I swear. Can you get down? Okay, get down. And I'm only like 14% into it. Seems like it's going to be a pretty quick read, though all of these books have been quick reads so far. I'm going to be done with my TBR for Blackoween and for Gothtober in like 2 seconds. Well before the month is out, I think. Anywho, Darker Shade of... I can't remember if it's Darker Shade of Midnight or Darker Shades of Midnight. The cover will be here, though. One of the covers. There's different ones. But yeah, I mean, so far, our main character just has gotten back to her hometown because her grandmother who raised her has taken a turn for the worse, it seems. But like, she's up and about when she gets to the house, but she's like, she knows she's in her last days, I guess. So I'm not sure what's wrong with her, like what illness she has. And the light went out again. I forgot to charge it. Her cousin seemed a little standoffish, to say the least, toward her. So I'm curious what's going on there. Very, paranormal, urban fantasy, contemporary fantasy, whichever terminology you use for it, vibes, you know, small town, and I'm not mad at it so far. Fingers crossed the enjoyment continues. Hello, hello. So I am now 32% into A Darker Shade of Midnight, and I'm having a fun enough time currently with the plot. Nothing really has happened yet, which I feel like I'm like kind of a little surprised by. Our main character has just gone back home. She gets home and then her grandmother is like, oh, we're having a meeting with my lawyer. And the whole family comes, and then it's like a whole big thing with her will. She's giving it all to LaShawn, the main character. And it's like, excuse you, dog. Family drama. A fight breaks out, whatever. The cops get called. And, yeah, grandma is pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, basically. She's really funny. Something, though, that, like, I don't know if this was self-published or it says it's like this indie publisher, but I know sometimes self-published authors, like, have their own, like, indie publisher, you know, but I don't know. I didn't look this one up. It might be like, I don't want to say a real independent publisher, but you know what I mean? Just a general independent publisher, you know, picked up this author's book, but I'm not sure. But regardless, there's like some typos and punctuation errors, enough that I've noticed, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh, wait, what? Like quotation marks where there shouldn't be any, or like double quotation marks. And something that's bothering me right now, there's a character who's like a random side character. He's like one of the family members' lawyer. His name is Devin Martin. That's how he's introduced. Devin Martin, blah, blah, blah. But then we continue calling him Martin in the book. Like the author is writing like Martin walked into the room. And I was like, wait, I thought his name was Devin. And then the grandma calls him Mr. Martin. But then in like the just text of the book, not like dialogue, it keeps calling him Martin. But then at one point it called him Devin. And now it's calling him Martin again. And so I'm like, this feels like a continuity error that was missed in editing, that maybe we didn't know at first what his first name was going to be, or we just forgot to put in Mr. Martin. It's like really bothering me for some reason. It's not really bothering me. It's not like bringing down my enjoyment of the book, but it's just one of those things that like very obvious, frequent, you know, punctuation errors or typos. It can almost like pull you out of the story, you know, and that this kind of is pulling me out of the story where I'm like, wait, what the fuck is this guy's name? But the plot and everything, I'm enjoying it. And I like LaShawn too. She is a spitfire and she's very hot-headed, kind of in a stupid way. Like this lawyer is telling her, don't go bother your cousin. Like, leave her alone. We cannot have family drama fucking up this, you know, case or whatever, this like situation. And she just like cannot help herself. Like trying to contact her cousin, showing up at her cousin's house. She is a hothead. And it's like almost kind of in a unlikable characteristic type of way and just like kind of dumb. But I don't know. I like her. I think she's so far, she's just quite a character. And she is, I feel like a very realized character. So curious to see what's going to happen. But I will check back in when I've read more. Hello, back in my squeaky chair. Oh, now it's not squeaking. There it goes. Anyway, little update. I am now on volume 4 of Monstress. I am rereading this as part of the Gothtober portion of my October TBR because I realize that this does have LGBT rep, and it technically has disability rep. The main character is an amputee. Is there a lot of discussion about her existing in the world as someone who has their arm amputated? No, there's not a lot of it because she's possessed by like a demon god that comes out of her arm, her missing arm. So, you know, it's not like maybe the most thorough representation, I guess. But, like, she's walking around with one arm. So I'm counting that. And this is definitely also in the October horror vibes. I mean, like I said, she's, like, being possessed by this, like, demon god thing. And it talks to her and stuff. And it's, like, in a fantasy world. So it isn't necessarily, like, what we think of as like paranormal possession. It's not like that. But it does also have a lot of body horror, gore, some creepy eepy stuff. and whatnot. And I'm loving this reread. And I don't remember if I've read volume 8 or not. I think I might not have. But before I read either volume 6 or 7, I reread the first several. But I've definitely read these first few twice already. But the first 2 times, it's high fantasy, and it's a very complicated world. And I think part of it is reading it. It's a graphic novel. It's not like a book with just text on the page. So it's a different reading experience. And I was confused. Definitely the first time, I was like, I don't really know what's going on, but I like it. I'm having a good time. But I'm a little confused about the intricacies of these like court politics and the lore and history of this world. And even the second time, I understood it more, but I was like, I'm sure I'm still missing some stuff, but it is what it is. This time, I'm taking notes and kind of creating my own little wiki for it, and it is helping so much. Oh my God. And then the other one, A Darker Shade of Midnight, that one I could potentially finish tonight. I'm like 65% into it or something like that. And things are picking up a little bit. It's looking like this first book is definitely kind of more of a setup. And there are still some, like, I caught a couple other, like, punctuation errors and typos. And I did figure out that it is self-published. And she did have other works self-published before this, but this is one of her earlier works. So I'm liking the plot and everything so far. And I'm liking this. I mean, it's our world, but, like, with magic and stuff. And I'm liking everything that's being set up. So currently it's looking like I will want to continue with the series. And again, it's just that there's been like several. It's not just like, oh, 1 or 2. It's like quite a few. It's not like on every page or anything. I shouldn't make it sound like, oh my God, it's just everywhere. But it's enough that it like pulls me out for a second. But yeah, I am enjoying the characters still. And like I said, it does definitely feel like a lot of setup, but I'm enjoying the setup. So there's that. And I will update probably when I finish that one, either tonight or tomorrow. Okay, so I did indeed finish Darker Shade of Midnight, and I'm just not sure. I like the setup of this, and like I was saying in the beginning, I was enjoying LaShawn initially and the plot initially, and I do like LaShawn as a character. I still do by the end of the book. But the plot and everything, at first I was a little thrown off with the, proofreading that needed to happen and like those errors. They pull me out, like I was saying. It was one of those things where I'm harsher, I think, of feeling like amateurish in the plot development and the character development and all of that. And initially, I didn't feel like this had that problem. I was like, it's just some kind of like proofreading error, like typing errors, punctuation errors here and there. It's not like every page, but it's enough that I noticed it and it was kind of like, okay. But as I went on, here in this last little bit especially, I do feel like the plot was a little undercooked, I guess. The final, like, scene, the culmination of everything, it was a little silly. It felt a little silly. And everything with the voodoo stuff, the magic, the, I guess, paranormal element of this, like, Loa, this spirit, it was very half-baked, it felt. It felt very clipped. And, like, I was just getting, like, one little scene here that wasn't even like a full scene, and then we just jumped to the next thing, and it's like another little clip. Like, there wasn't things tying it together. The flow wasn't there. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't have like a miserable time with I like the setup. I like the premise. I like the concept. Theoretically, I like the story being told here. The execution didn't really do much for me. So far, unfortunately, my reading vlog here is turning into a dud of a time for me. My rereads are going great of Monstress and my reread of Ring Shout. And I mean, I liked The Good House overall. I just didn't love it as much as I wanted to. So yeah, there's that. Now I'm gonna read volume 4 of Monstress. Yeah, I'll check back in later. And I will start the reformatory. I might start the reformatory tonight. Hello, hello. I have started the reformatory. Barely. I'm literally 20 pages in. I've read the first 2 chapters. But so far, so good. I am once again enjoying the writing style, and I feel like I'm going to, I don't know, we'll see. My prediction is that I'm going to enjoy this more than The Good House. The historical fiction element, I think, is more my vibe, and it doesn't seem like there's, I don't know, maybe there will be some kind of like a romance somewhere in it, but I doubt it based on the setup and everything. Because that was one of my bigger qualms, I think, with The Good House, was the whole romance part of it. Other stuff too, just with the plot and whatever, and the pacing. This is chunky as well, I will say. Almost 600 pages, yeah, 565 pages. So she's lengthy, but I don't know. I feel like because it has that historical fiction element, I probably will have a better time with it. We've jumped right in to some shit happening, our like inciting incident with Robbie kicking the one guy, Lyle McCormack, but it's like bad news fucking bears to have done this. And at the end of chapter 2, it's a Gloria POV, and I'm wondering if that's going to continue as well, but chapter 2 is Gloria's POV, the sister, and it ends with her not being terribly surprised when a deputy shows up the next morning, because she's like freaking out. She can't sleep. She's like, what the fuck is going to happen to my brother now? And methinks bad things are going to happen. So yeah, that's all. Not much of an update there. I'm like 75% through volume 4 of Monstress as well. And we're getting a lot more lore. Again, every volume, you're just learning so much more lore and history of these creatures, these races. And it's just so cool, man. There's so much here, and it's so cool and interesting. I love it. Hello. I have finished Monstress Volume 4, and I just finished, oh Jesus, sorry. I'm sitting in front of my window, and I can see into my backyard, and my neighborhood, it's like brick walls in between the yards, and like 40 pigeons just all flew out of my neighbor's backyard. What the fuck? That was so weird. I've never seen that before. There must be like seeds. It's been raining the last few days, and we're supposed to get even more rain this weekend. So I bet there's like seeds and stuff, because they have actual grass, I think. Unlike my turf. Yeah, that was crazy though. Anyway, BT dubs, don't mind my nail that popped off. I've only done it the one time, so I don't have the application down just yet for these Gel X tips. It pops clean off, so that's nice. It doesn't like rip my nail or anything. Anyway, what I really came here for is an update on the reformatory. I'm still not that far in, but I just wanted to update because our main character, Robbie, is now at the reformatory, and obviously it's incredibly frustrating what has happened to him. It's so unfair, obviously. It's so very racist. And his initial introduction to the reformatory was infuriating because the warden is the worst, as you could imagine. Someone who's running this school for boys where boys end up missing, dead, they're beaten regularly. And there's white boys here too. It's not just black children. But I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, I know. I think it's safe to assume that the black children are probably treated much more harshly than the white children. But the white boys are also like out in the camps were, not camps, but like working out on the farms, like working to the bone and whatever. However, like their punishments and things, I'm not sure. Someplace like this, though, I doubt that they're like super nice to the white boys either, but the black children are definitely getting the worst of it, methinks. And it's very fascinating in this like world, I guess. Children, at least he keeps saying like in Gracetown, if you're raised in Gracetown, the town that they grew up in, that if you're a child, like you can see haints, you are aware of haints existing, like ghosts, spirits, etc. And then once you become an adult, you can't. And so he can see and smell all this smoke, and it seems like either the schoolhouse or there was a different building near the schoolhouse was burned at some point and boys died inside of it. And he's like hearing their screams and seeing them. But this other kid, Boone, who's like little Mr. Badass, who's being like, here's all the rules. Don't fucking do this and that. And he sucks. He even was like, ignore the haints. Don't worry about the haints or you'll become one or whatever. So he's not, Robbie isn't the only one who can see them. And Gloria even mentions that like she's not sure. I think she's a little older, so it seems like maybe she's growing out of it and she still does see spirits and things sometimes or hear things, and she's not sure if she's really hearing it or not. And yeah, that's all very, very fascinating. It feels very tense. You're just very on edge. I'm very on edge reading this. And like just that scene in the warden's office, nothing, he didn't get beaten or anything in that moment, you know, quote unquote, nothing happened to him in that regard. There was no violence put upon him physically, but the mental violence, I guess you could say, like psychological warfare going on, and just dehumanizing, just so disgustingly dehumanizing, making this kid strip in front of you. And also it's just so like, yeah, I really believe that these kids are being cared for when this is how you do a strip search of them to make sure that nothing is there. You pull them into the office privately with no other witnesses there. Like, who knows what could happen to boys in this situation? Who knows what has happened to them before? Even just being, like, checked out. Like, you know, there's a way that that could be done in a more humane way of, like, you're here and we gotta check and make sure you don't have anything on you. But it's just, like, the most dehumanizing way possible. And just the vibes in that scene, I was like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Fuck. And that is continuing. So I'm excited where we're gonna go. I'm excited for the creepy eepies, the vibes, you know? So yeah, not to say I'm excited for that, but just I'm excited for this book, you know, the reading experience of what I think. I'm excited for what I believe is gonna be a really good book. Well, hello. Happy, what day of the week is it? Saturday. I just woke up from a little cat nap. That's why I look disheveled, I feel. My hair I did my hair earlier, but then I slept on it. Hi, Lily. Lily's back here. Baby kitty. Lily. Are you chewing on your back? Cute. Anyway, it's been a nice little Saturday. Slept in a bit. Woke up and thought my fridge was leaking because Eric found just a huge puddle of water right in front of the fridge and like going underneath it. But I was like, I don't know if it is going underneath it because there's like a little like lip underneath to like stop water from going underneath if it's coming from in front of it. And so I took my phone flashlight and I looked like behind the lip on the side of the fridge, and it was totally dry under the fridge. And so I cleaned up the water. We pulled the fridge out, nothing underneath or behind it. And then there was a bunch of water on the countertop next to the fridge and all over the fucking stovetop, just water. And it rained the last like day and a half, but there's no like leak in the ceiling that we can see. There's no leak anywhere. I don't know where it's coming from or where it came from. 'Tis a mystery. And we cleaned a little bit. I worked out. I did my full Pilates thing, which was nice, and then walked on the treadmill. Probably gonna walk on the treadmill again, like just a leisurely walk just to get more steps in a little bit. And then anyway, I am fucking getting sidetracked. This is an update on the reformatory. I can't remember where exactly I was the last time I updated. I think I was like 70 pages in or something, right? And then I said I would update when I was like well over 100. I'm like 138 pages in now, and things are happening. It's just a lot of racism, my God, which, you know, I knew going into it that it would be just based on the premise of it and everything. But yeah, like Gloria, Gloria talked to her employer, who she is like a maid for and stuff. I think she just, does housekeeping for this white woman, Miss Ann. And Miss Ann is acting like she wants to get involved and help. I don't know if we can trust Miss Ann as far as we can throw her, but she has said that she will try to help, but I just don't trust it. Hi, baby ghost. Oh, little baby ghost. Oh, you're so cute. What are you doing? Oh. Are you so cute? And then Robbie has made a couple of friends. Don't know how good of friends they'll be. Blue and Redbone, they've kind of taken him under their wing, and they are showing him the ropes a bit. He's working in the kitchen, which is like a better job than out working in the fields. So that's good for him currently. But yet then like Blue locks Redbone and Robbie and another boy in a freezer, and they're like freaking out, and he's like, oh, I'm just joking. And then they're all almost late getting back, which would equal an ass beating. So I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna be the greatest friends, but they do seem to want to like look out for him. There's that. And oh my God, so there was in the kitchen, there's just like scenes. There's only been a couple so far, but they feel like the Sixth Sense type of scenes. Like I see dead people, and it's just, he's standing there, and oh my God, I highlighted it because I was like, ugh, creepy. Because he like turns to look, and there's like a white kid standing like in the corner just dead staring at him. And he's like, to Redbone and Blue, he's like, who's that white kid? And they're like, what white kid? There's no white kid over there. And I was like, oh God. And then they are children, and they can see ghosts sometimes also. And so they're like, oh, the one with a knife? And he's like, it doesn't look like he's holding a knife. And they're like, oh, I don't know. And then the ghost turns to walk away, and there's a knife stabbed between his shoulder blades. And his face just goes like pale. And that Redbone and Blue are like, oh, it was the one with the knife, huh? And yeah, just so creepy. So creepy. My God. And it was explained a little bit more that it does seem to be like people believe that this is like specific to this place, Graceland or Gracetown, whatever it's called. Gracetown, not Graceland. Yeah, Gracetown. So yeah, I am enjoying it a lot. I was reading earlier, and I wanted to keep reading, but I got so sleepy all of a sudden. I think just from doing all the stuff earlier and like the cleaning and whatever. That's all. Jesus Christ. Hello. How are ya? It is Monday. I have today off, and I got to spend 2, 8, 9, 10, 3. That's right. 3.5 hours at the dentist this morning, which was, there we go. Tons of fucking fun. I haven't been to the dentist in like 5 or 6 years, kind of on accident. Anyway, why we are here is a very quick update on this. I don't really have anything new to say. I feel like I'm reading through this a little slower, and I was thinking about it today because I'm like, I'm enjoying it. The historical fiction element is really working for me a lot better, I think, than the Good House kind of storyline worked for me. But I think it's a little difficult to read, you know? It's not something, there's not very many books that like I'm reading and I'm like, oh my God, I have to put this down. Like in a movie, there's there's absolutely scenes in here that if it was a movie, I don't know that I would be able to watch. But in book form, it's not quite, it's not as, it's not visual, even though I have an imagination and I can kind of see things, and that makes it a little like squeamish. That makes me a little like, oh God, fuck, like I can't. So it's not necessarily like scenes that make me like, oh my God, I feel sick to my stomach, I have to put the book down. But yeah, they're just difficult scenes. Difficult. Like, there was one chapter in particular where I was like, I want to keep reading, but I know the next chapter that's coming. It was before Robbie was going to the fun house, and it was everything leading up to that, and hearing the other boys going in there, and like just the tension that was building of like, we know what is about to happen to Robbie as well, and it's already happening to these other boys, getting beaten, getting whipped within a fucking inch of their lives. And I read that chapter, and I saw that the next chapter, I thought maybe the next chapter would be like jumping over to Gloria. But then I saw that the next chapter was just going to be Robbie going into the funhouse and his experience there. And I was like, I need a little break. I'm enjoying it. It's just taking me a bit of time. But I am like about 45% of the way through, I think it said on Storygraph. So, and it's all right too that it's taking me, because all the rest of the books for Blackoween I read in like the first week of October. I read through them very, very quickly. So it's all right if this one takes me a hot second. Hello. All right, little update. I didn't read very much yesterday of the Reformatory. I can't remember how much I read. I think like a chapter or two. I finished volume 5 of Monstress and started volume 6, barely. But I was just reading more from the Reformatory, and I am up to chapter 23 now, so I'm like halfway through. And again, spoilers. This whole thing will have spoilers. But the chapter I just read was, okay, so Robbie has now gotten into the band, the marching band or whatever. He's in marching band because he's a prodigy type of talent, it seems, with the trumpet. And there's the band leader, the marching band teacher or whatever. She seems great. And the warden came by and was like, I want to talk to Robbie alone. So she takes him after marching band practice, and the warden wants him to hunt the Haints, to be a spotter, because Boone learned that Robbie can see the Haints pretty often. So he told the warden, and so now the warden wants him because he wants to hunt them all down. He thinks they shouldn't be there. I'm sure there's other actual reasons he wants them gone. I mean, he did say, like, they're giving us a bad name because they're telling all these stories. I mean, they're telling their stories of how they fucking were murdered here. And obviously he doesn't want that, like, out and about. So maybe that's all it is he just, like, wants to silence them once and for all. And we learn that fucking Blue, his friend, is a Haint. I just sneezed really aggressively. No, my eyes are watering. Jesus, sorry. But yeah, I was like, holy shit. I think I said it in a previous clip. I know I thought it to myself that this, there's like a very like Sixth Sense, I see dead people kind of vibe, with specifically that one scene where he sees the kid in the kitchen with the knife stabbed in his back. And I was like, oh God, it's giving me Sixth Sense vibes. And here we are again with the Sixth Sense vibes. Not saying it's like a copy. I'm sure that was done before as well. But yeah, where it's like he's talking to this person and because Redbone also. And then I'm like, oh yeah. When Redbone like took the fall for Blue and just was like, I was the one saying it. And then told them like, don't say anything about Blue. And like, Blue can't come to the fun house. He's not like us. He's like, oh, we can handle it. And he can't. And I was like, I don't know if Robbie can handle it. And Robbie even thought like, I can't handle it either. Makes sense now. Because he knows that Blue is actually fucking Haint. And the warden wants him gone bad. I have so many questions. But I was like, holy shit, it's Blue. He's a fucking Haint. And once again, just how I was talking about like this, taking a little more time to read through this, because it's like I was saying before, it's not that I'm like reading scenes. I mean, like scenes where these kids are getting whipped and beaten are difficult to read for sure. But it's more so, I think, that it's so frustrating. Because there have been a couple scenes like that are like, if this was a movie, I couldn't watch this happening to a person. But there's more scenes that are just so frustrating with the egregious, blatant, hateful fucking racism and bigotry and the way people are treated. And it's just wildly frustrating where you're like, ugh! Like, I fucking can't stand it. And like the scene with Gloria and Ms. Lottie and the lawyers going to talk to the judge. And like Gloria in that scene, it's like, girl, stop, you're being stupid. But I understand, because I would be that way too. Like, I, always got in trouble for talking back when I was a kid and wanting to argue my case with anything, with like my parents being, but dad, but mom, Jared did this, like, I'm getting in trouble for something my little brother did or instigated, and I need to make my case, and I can't shut up, even though I know talking is going to get me in more trouble, and I just wouldn't be able to help myself. So it's like, I can relate to her in that scene, but you're like, as the reader, and as like a person in 2025 reading this historical fiction in 1950, you talking right now ain't gonna help. Stop. And the lawyers are trying to quietly like squeeze her shoulder, be like, shut up. And you're like, no, shut up. But it's like, I get it. I would also want to just explode with like, this is ridiculous. Oh my God, this is so stupid. Let my fucking brother out, So you really feel for her, and it's so frustrating. So that's the update for now. I will probably, I don't know, unless something else crazy happens. I'm trying not to have too much footage that I have to cut out a bunch of rambling. So I'll probably not update until another 100-ish pages or more. Hello. So I have read more of this, and I take back what I said before. Up until recently in this book, like I said, there's horrifying things. There's stuff that like, oh God, I wouldn't be able to see this. There's nothing like super graphic on page, but just like mentions of things. As far as what I was talking about earlier, like pedophilia allusions and sexual assault allusions. But then there's physical violence definitely on page. And like, I wouldn't think if it was a movie, I would have to like look away and be like, oh my God. And we just got a chapter though with like a POV from Haddock, from the superintendent, the warden, whatever. And I hope we don't get any more because I feel unwell. It again wasn't like intensely graphic, but he does talk about some things he have done. And we learned a couple chapters ago that he has photos that he doesn't want getting out of some of the boys. I don't even like want to say, just things that he has done. And he has pictures of them as like his little trophies. And it just makes me sick. And so we learned that, and I was like, oh God, okay. And then this POV chapter, we're in his head, and like, yeah, I don't know how else to just describe it other than I just feel unwell and uneasy and just like, just disgusted. He's a psychopathic, disgusting, horrifying man. And there was one thing in particular, and again, he doesn't go into excruciating detail about it, but he just vaguely describes something that he did. And that made me like, okay. It was like, just because previously we just, like I said, had illusions that like, some boys might have had things done to them, and like he's got pictures of stuff, but like we didn't have any description of the pictures, just there's these photos, and like what it is, but there's not like any details. And then we got just a little bit. He just gave a little bit of detail about one of the photos, and I was just like, that's enough. That's enough. That's more than enough. I don't feel well from that. So that sucks. But I'm getting towards the end. I read quite a bit more, I think. I don't remember where I was earlier when I checked in, but I'm up to page 356 now. Oh yeah, I dyed my hair also. Did I? Dyed it back like brown, dark brown, whatever. Anyway, again, Miss Anne, like, I think, again, she seems thus far like a character who, like, you know, she's got the right idea deep down, and she means well, and she's not like this horribly, like, she doesn't think that all black people deserve to be treated this way or anything like that. But, you know, like I said, then she uses the N-word behind closed doors and shit, and just other things too. And I really liked this one part here. Where was it? Hold on, let me find it. Just the themes, you know. Oh yeah, when Loman, the social worker who's from New York, the Jewish guy, she calls him to be like, Gloria needs to see Robbie. Like, can you call or whatever? And he's like, the visiting areas are he's like, you couldn't come with her to see him because the visiting areas are segregated by race. And it says, for the first time, she went quiet. Even if I want to see him too? She'd grown up in the Jim Crow South her whole life, and she sounded like segregation was just dawning on her. So you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. It's like she kind of has the spirit sometimes, and she was really upset about what happened. She was really pissed at her brother's involvement in going to the neighborhood and like terrorizing these people. She was visibly upset about what was going on, and like with Gloria, and when Gloria was told that she couldn't see Robbie and she was upset, like Miss Anne was also very upset. And then she like talked back to the sheriff when he came, but then the sheriff threatened her, and it just sounds like she comes from one of those families, you know, like her dad, it sounds like, was essentially killed, run off the road by the Klan because he was speaking out against segregation, right? But like I said, then she'll turn around and use the N-word and stuff. It's just very interesting, a lot of the thematic stuff there. And like Gloria learning the hard way, essentially, it says, she realized she's talking about the sheriff being a snarky piece of shit, kind of. She says she realized she was grateful to him for confirming everything she had learned yesterday. Gracetown would not free Robbie. She could stop wasting her time with lawyers and judges. Like, she had to learn the hard way that, like, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. And nothing I can try to do the legal, correct way is going to work because they don't fucking care. Just, yeah. It's like, it's heart-wrenching seeing her, like, learn these lessons in this way, and it sucks, and that's what so many marginalized kids, black kids in specific in the United States, have to learn, and it's very unfortunate. But yeah, I'm gonna take a break from it for the rest of the night, because yeah, that scene, it was like mid-scene, I kind of paused and was like, had to like take a deep breath and like just compose myself for a second and be like, that's what I just read. And like, again, I don't want to, it's not super graphic or anything. It's just enough detail that you're like, fucking cool, great. Anyway, that's all for now. Off to read some of Monstress. I have finished the reformatory. The last, like, 20% was a wild ride. And I got a little choked up at, like, the author's note and acknowledgments. I knew it was based on someone real. And I know, even without it being based on anyone that this author knows or knew or anyone in her history, I know that these things have happened just in general to people, to black people, to marginalized people, but specifically that like schools like this have existed throughout history in various cultures and various places. So it's not like I wasn't aware, but like it was just the reminder again in the author's note and the acknowledgments, and just, I don't know, the way she wrote it, it just hit me a little bit where I got like a little choked up with that too. I didn't like full on start crying, but I just got a little like, like, and I feel like I still feel kind of that way, like that, you know, like the back of your throat, like a little choked up, like if I think about this too much, I could probably start crying, that kind of thing. So I don't want to say I had a good time reading this, because no, it's awful and horrible what happened to these characters and knowing that these things have happened and still to this day happen to people in real life and to children. To people, but to children. It's just especially horrifying and disgusting, and like even just thinking about the type of person who can do things like this to children and like who treats literal fucking animals, dogs, better than human children and human people proudly. And it's just like the most vile type of person, just the worst of humanity, you know? So yeah, I can't say I had a good time, but it was well written. It was a profound, moving story. And just, I mean, so much thematic stuff, obviously. I think it's a very good book. I think this is a very, very good book. And I do think this is better, in my opinion, than The Good House. Again, I'm not like a horror girly though. I think The Good House probably was like creepier if you're looking for that. But this, I think it was the historical fiction element and the fact that there's not like a romance involved in any way, shape, or form. I don't know. I just think the setup of it all worked better for me in general. And I just think the writing was really good. I think I tabbed a couple of like quotes to save. Like this, Gloria felt herself floating toward a great open space where her anger at Papa could free her. But she could not take another step toward that void. I really liked that and what it was saying. Again, Gloria's anger. Her righteous, justified anger. Only anger kept Gloria from crying, but her anger felt like a mountain too big to fit inside her. Good stuff like that, you know? Very profound, like I said. So I'll stop yammering. I'm rambling, but my like newer rating scale, I would say this is a loved. This is in the loved range for sure. It's only October 16th and I have completed the prompts for everything, but I do have The Year of the Witching physical copy from the library, and I also have The Quarter Storm by someone, put it up here. And I don't even remember what this one was about. I barely started it today while I was at the doctor's office. I have it on ebook, and I read the first chapter and a half. Barely into it. Voodoo kind of stuff, spirits. This woman living in New Orleans who has like a shop where people come for her to do voodoo stuff. And like a new client showed up, this white girl, and that's as far as I got. And I can't even remember the premise of that one, but I'll tell you later. I don't have, again, it's on ebook and I don't have my tablet or anything with me to like read off of right now. So I'll probably just continue with that one. I might pick up The Year of the Witching at the same time. We'll see. I might wait until I get into Quarter Storm a little bit. So we'll see how I fare with that one also. Hello. It's been 84 years, it feels. I think it's just been a few days. Unsure the last day that I recorded any clips. I don't even remember. I think I said that I started Quarter Storm, right? Not sure. First of all, I love this new sweater. It's still not quite warm enough here in Arizona. It was 89 degrees today, but it's supposed to be only in the 80s, like the low 80s, I think, the rest of the week. I'm not the biggest fan of sweaters, though, if they're if they're itchy, you know? But this one currently doesn't feel like it's going to be a problem. So, love that. Anyway, I started Quarter Storm. I am now like 37% into it. And it's one that I'm not loving right now. I'm not hating it either at all. There are elements to it that I really like. Overall, I think the writing is pretty dang solid. There are some points, though, where it feels a little overwritten. A little bit, what's the most laborious way I can say this sentence? But overall, I do enjoy the writing. And the plot, I'm like intrigued, but I do feel like the pacing, like it's taking a little too long to get going. I almost want to DNF because I am just feeling so like meh about it right now. Like it's fine. It's not bad, but it's not gripping me. It's not great. I'm not super into the story or anything or the character. But I think I am going to try to give it to at least 45%, try to get to 50% to give it that. I think I have also been a little distracted with Monstress. I'm now on volume 9. Once I finish volume 9, I will be caught up with the series until December when volume 10 comes out. But I will be getting it and reading it like right away. That's all for now though, because that's really all I have to update. Talk to you in another few days. Hello. Several days later, I don't remember where I was with Monstress the last time I updated, but I am done with volume 9, so I am caught up with Monstress until December when volume 10 comes out. Updating on Quarter Storm. I unfortunately decided to DNF that one. Bummer times. I got up to 48%. It was the end of a chapter. And it's not grabbing my attention at all. It feels a little, it was feeling a little meandering. I wasn't liking the, ex-romance that kind of was still a romance. The love interest was, just no. What, just because he's hot? Shut up. But I really did enjoy the setting, the New Orleans setting and the descriptions of that. The vibes were there. And I did enjoy what description we did get of the magic system, her voodoo practice. I really did enjoy that stuff. But yeah, it just overall, it wasn't coming together. So I just said, I'm going to cut my losses. I moved on to The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. Barely have started this. I have literally only read, 17 pages, I think? Yeah. The prologue and the first chapter. I'm at the start of chapter 2, but I am intrigued. I am already quite enjoying it. I've read Alexis Henderson before, The House of Hunger. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy the writing and everything. I am intrigued. I'm enjoying it already. We'll see if that continues. I will keep you posted. I think that's the last one I have, and it is getting towards the end of October at this point. It's not, next week is the final week of October. I'll talk to you later. Yellow. I have read more of The Year of the Witching. I'm still not super far into it. I've read this much of it. But just wanted to do a quick little update. We have had some creepy shit happening. I'm so curious. The tone has been set well. The setting has been set well. The vibes are there, and I'm enjoying it so far. Hopefully that continues. That's all for now. Talk to you later. Bye. Hello. Checking in here. I'm like halfway through Year of the Witching now. And, wow, I don't know if I had the mic flipped around correctly. Apologies if you can really hear me very well. Yeah, I'm still very much enjoying it. We definitely have culty vibes continuing, but there's some genuine, paranormal stuff going on, or fantasy, fantastical, whatever stuff going on. We had a blood plague where all the water in the area was turned to blood, so that's gross. And our main character, Emmanuelle, is, figuring out some more stuff. She's learning more about the truth of some things. So far, this is I don't think it's gonna be a favorite necessarily, but currently it's sitting at a really love status. And definitely something that I would recommend if you want witchy, creepy, eepy, kind of gothic at times in the authorial voice. The tone of it feels quite kind of that eerie, gothic, atmospheric thing. That is all for now. Well, hello, coming to you in my oversized, comfy fucking hoodie to say that I have finished The Year of the Witching. And this one ended up landing in slightly above middle of the road. Somewhere in my liked it. There were elements of it that I really liked. Just overall, the authorial voice, the tone, atmosphere of it all, very witchy, I would say, if you're into that. However, ultimately, I just don't know. And I like, again, it's a similar situation as a lot of books where I like the messaging, you know, the themes. I enjoy, I appreciate, I support. I like that we're talking about the patriarchy and how it sucks and feminine rage. There's definitely feminine rage here. However, the ending, I just didn't love it, you know? I didn't hate it. I'm not like mad at it. I wasn't like, oh, that ruined the book. But it kind of, I don't know. And I did not love this whole like romance subplot that happened. I wasn't the biggest fan. And yeah, just the ending. There was too much mercy in the book in the ending, I would say. I wanted more feminine rage. I wanted us to follow through with our feminine rage and just rage in general. And then I didn't realize this is a series. I don't think book 2 is out, though, and I don't know that there is, like, word of book 2. And when did this one come out? I don't remember now. Yeah, this came out in 2020, and there's no sequel yet. And I don't know if there is word of a sequel. So, yeah, it's just one of those that I really like the idea, really like the premise. I did enjoy the writing. There is a labor scene, a birthing scene that... she's a little traumatic. Yeah, there's just something about it overall that, like, I know this isn't gonna stick with me, really. It's, like, in between middle of the road. I liked it. It was fine. And my, like, I really liked this. Not quite love, but, like, it's, like, in between there. So it's kind of like I quite liked it, you know? And this is going to end this vlog, which is probably really boring, probably really long, and gonna take me forever to edit. And there's like no B-roll. There's hardly any fucking B-roll. It's just a lot of me talking at you. So apologies for that. Oh, good God. I'll probably cut out so much of this raw footage. Whatever, it's fine. I hope everyone had a lovely October. And yeah, hope you had a good reading month. I would say I had a decent one. I read a lot. I reread Monstress, which was great. And I picked up some new books, and I didn't like love too much, really. And there's a couple that were like pretty, I would say, duds, you know? But then there was like this one that was solid. The Good House was really solid. And the Reformatory, I think, is the standout for this month, aside from Monstress. But talking about new things I read, the Reformatory wins for sure. And then probably, I would say the Reformatory, then this one, then the Good House. That second chance romance shit, man, it kills me, I tell you. And then the rest of them were kind of like, you know, here and there and whatever. There was a DNF in there. But yeah, those were the top 3 of the month for new reads. Monstress wins for sure for like actual first top of the month, but that's unsurprising because I love Monstress. And I love it even more now that I fucking know what's going on since I took notes. All right, thank you so much for your time. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later.